waiting, Matt, for your the avid
My hot
listeners.
takes on Sumo Logic.
Well, that we want, but that's not the encore. That's the entree they came for. What they really want, what the pre-show people want, they want a review of those headphones. We promised it last time, right? You said you were getting some new ones, that they were not the Sony ones that I'm wearing, that you've gone rogue, I would call it. And now you have the new one. So one, recap, what's the model? And then now give us your review.
It's the Sennheiser HD25s.
Okay.
And I got they had some sort of like velour instead of leather, instead of pleather.
Velour,
and
okay. Is that good?
I've already upgraded.
Like what do you mean? You've upgraded from the leather?
Ear, like no, the ear cover things were kind of thin, and I felt like it was like pinching my ears, and so I got like these extra big puffy ones. That's what I'd done that with my previous. Yeah, so I've already done aftermarket.
All right, this is so Matt Ray. You've already aftermarketed the brand new.
Yep.
I love it. So where did you get those? Now we gotta know that. Was that like Amazon buy? Was that like
yeah? It was just Amazon.
Now were they ones they just kind of like snap in and out, or were they like the ones you have to like kind of like bungee over the if you will? Okay.
Came with a tool. Yeah.
Oh, and you had to like do the little thing around. Okay.
Yeah. Like
nice.
Get the little, and these are they've got some sort of like cooling gel in between the pleather and the ear. That wasn't the problem. I felt like
hold on now. Closed back or open back? Is it like mine or open back? You can see.
Technically, they're open. Yeah.
Okay, so you can put your little finger, you get a little airflow in the back, so you're not completely cut off from the outside world.
Yeah, but they form a pretty solid seal over my ear, so I'm not hearing a lot. And like I had the ones you had before, and those cover the ear fully, and these like rest on the ear, and I think that's what was bothering me.
Oh, so these are on ear. That's different than around the ear. So you're kind of this is a different model. Okay. Yeah. Oh, all right. I don't know if I can endorse this. This is really going to a new level. So you like the on-ear upgraded padding Sennheiser. What is the number?
HD25.
HD25s. And so you like them? I mean, that's your
the audio. The audio's great. It's just getting the fit right. It's got the adjustable head strap.
Oh, that's the other thing. What does it touch the head too much? Not enough. You know how you get that weird, like if it touches too much. Okay, yeah.
It's got two things there.
Isn't it weird though? Like when I feel like a headband touches the top of your head, that it can get real sore. Isn't that like the strangest phenomenon?
I don't have that problem.
You don't know? You must. Oh my gosh.
No,
never.
No.
You know what I'm talking? You've heard about it though. Like if
that's the thing. It's like I told you I got the pleather, the velour upgrade.
All right.
So it's got a velour head thing.
Fan of the show, Brian White Eagle, says he has a pair of those. I don't know. At one point, Brian wasn't buying anything that wasn't less than like $500 of headphones. So the fact that he has them means that either he doesn't really like them, but he bought them, or like they're like his spare set for when the ice storms out and he has to have something else to use.
Yeah. These are the ones you keep in the car.
All right. Well, we should put a link in the show notes. I don't know. Maybe you should make that your recommendation, or at least add a link to it.
I might do that. I'm pretty good with them for now.
And we can tell people that we did a very thorough review of them, right? We should have you hold them up.
I didn't even try them on. I mean, I just bought them.
You should just do some unboxing, like MK. What is it? MK. What's this?
Well, I still got the boxes and stuff.
All right. Well, there's still time, man. There's still time for you.
No, that's not.
All right.
I gotta drink more coffee.
All right, Matt. You gotta boot up. We gotta get Matt. Ready to rock. Get his hot takes flowing.
So Bretsky, I have worn these. I probably wore these headphones like 7 or 8 hours yesterday, so I'm okay.
That's a pretty good review, man. That's some good review time.
The ARS Athletica Audio Technica, whatever they were called. Those were super comfortable too. But I had also gone aftermarket on the the ear covers because theirs have just been falling apart. They were
Yeah,
like
that's
9
what I
years
had to
old.
do. They just fell off.
And the Sonys you're wearing before, those were super comfortable. I was just trying something different when I switched off of them.
I know they get. We all know. Listen, if it gets a little too mainstream, you know it. You know we expect you to like go outside. You're like, okay, all right. Everybody has been using
Everybody
this.
else, yeah.
You know,
If I
everybody is
showed
now.
up wearing the iPod, AirPods or something, you'd be
Yeah,
like,
everyone's
Matt,
using it. Everyone's all about ARM. So you know, Matt's going to the what's the thing we talking about?
Risk
Risk
5.
5,
Yeah,
right? Matt's
going
like, I
one of
gotta go
those.
Risk 5. I'm not doing Raspberry Pi anymore. I'm going on to like some other obscure instruction
I
set.
got to get it
You know?
in its original Chinese.
Yeah, if I can't order it off Alibaba and it come to me with no instructions that I can read, then I don't want it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah. So this week, what are we talking about here? What's the headphones? Yes.
Check.
We checked that.
Wonderful. Well, the menu here is we got. I'm sure we have some hot takes on GraphQL, right? That's StepZen
What?
got acquired. I think I got a hot take on Sumo Logic, right? Platform
Okay.
engineering, a topic that never dies. People keep writing about it, so I think we have thoughts on that. I just really feel bad for this Ubisoft Division 2 thing. I've just never seen anything like it. I mean, I just wanted to say I feel bad on air. Well, it's just like they just broke their build system and they can't like do anything. Like they can't. It's like that when you read the thing, it's just like, well, we completely broke it and we can't roll it back and we can't. Just like it's gonna be 2 weeks. It was just like, man, that was bad. There's some Google hot takes. I think we can. I got some stuff on that. You know. I don't know. What do you like? You like any of this? Like none of this? You're walking in with a whole nother set of topics. That's fine too. What do you want?
No, I don't have another set of topics. It's like,
yeah, just check out. We'll just put this in for the streamers. Everyone can read it together. It's like here's the Twitter thing. A message from Division 2 team. It's just like, I mean, it's just like the saddest thing you've ever seen. You're like, talk about like somebody's definitely getting fired, right? It's just like, what did they say here?
But you can't fire the build engineers. They have to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess until somebody, maybe that's the way to think of it. And until it gets fixed, no one can be fired, right? You know.
And so if you're that build engineer, do you keep working, or do you slow roll it, knowing that you're probably fired, or
I mean,
do you put in the heroic effort to save your job?
It's a good question. Like, maybe we should say that for sure. It's just, I just can't imagine. Like, it would be an interesting question. Like, who exactly is going to get fired over this, right? It's like, because I don't know. There's just a lot of different potential answers, right? It's like, well, I mean, there's so many potential people that have done the wrong, right?
Elon
so
Musk.
yeah, so this was the part in the past when a season. This is the money quote. In the past, when a season was delayed, we extended the previous season's activities. First of all, I've never played this game. I have no idea what it is. I just reading. So if Tom Clancy's the Division 2, so I don't know anything about it other than this. Unfortunately, this is not possible in the current situation, as we are unable to make server or client-side updates until the build generation system is restored. End quote. Right, and you're just like, I mean, it's the kind of thing you're like, how does this possibly?
You know what?
Happen?
I think you're into the content, Brandon.
I am. All right. So we should, but I love it. I was just like, I guess I don't know what to say about other than I'm just like, I feel bad. So, all right. You ready? Are you ready, Matt?
They rolled out an update on a Saturday. Yes. Apparently we're talking about
it sounds like we're going to be talking about that. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Do we have to learn what the Division 2 is?
No.
Is it like a
we
math
just know
game?
It's about Tom Clancy. It's probably about submarines in the Cold War. That's all we need to know.
Call of Duty.
All right. Hold on, let me make a note of what time it is. We'll start here. Timestamps.
I mean, yeah, maybe the platform engineering stuff. I did watch the Adam Jacob talk. He'd shown me that stuff like maybe 2 years ago, but it's
all right. What do you want to start with? You want to start with Ubisoft?
Oh yeah,
cold open.
Let's no, definitely a cold open, but
do the cold open. Then we'll talk Ubisoft. We'll talk about Division 2. Okay. Then you want to talk about platform engineering?
Yeah, we can talk about Adam's thing.
Okay. You have to summarize Adam's thing. I'll probably
do a poor job, but
Perfect. That's what we do. That's what podcasts are about. Some bad summaries of other people's ideas. Okay, then those two things, and then we can go. We can just do some quick hits. You want? I don't know. You like? I don't know. What else you want to do? You want to do? You want to talk about Mastodon? Check in on Twitter and Mastodon. Have we done that enough? There's some work life stuff. I think there's some fun stuff from the Slack. I thought some hot takes on meetings. I thought that was interesting.
Let me turn my fan. Might be time for another aftermarket headphone update. Longer cord. I can't reach my fan now. The old one had a.
I love it, Matt.
Springy cord.
I love it.
I can't get in focus. There we go.
All right, ready? Want to do it? Finish eating? No? Well, you finish chewing there.
What the heck? My screensaver just kicked in.
Division equals what? Call of Duty during COVID. Oh, okay. All right, I didn't know that. Okay, what else is that? Who's this? What's this one? This is interesting. Let's click on this link. Oh, I'm in the wrong. I'm not in the. I'm in the wrong thing. I can't click on the links. Does that work? Show.
The Division. Wow, they're on season 10. Apparently, it sprung up overnight.
Like we have no idea what it is. We've never even heard of it. We're like, yeah, this is interesting. The only way we hear about it is if it's broken.
Or if our kids are doing it. Right?
Yeah, it's like, what is this, Roblox? I don't know. My kid's not playing it, so I don't know about it. Yeah.
No, my kid's playing Final Fantasy 14, and then the other one's all about NBA 2K.
Oh, nice. NBA. You have some sports fan or a sports fan in your family. That's right. I forget about that.
Yeah. The youngest is just turned into a sport fan, and he wants to talk about baseball, and I'm like, can we talk about golf?
Hey, man,
I'm already asleep. I mean,
how awesome is that? You're like, I don't care about golf. I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about that.
No, I mean, baseball is just kind of dry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's boring. All right, so I got the right thing up. So I got that up. Okay.
Yeah, he plays that Major League Baseball game and the NBA 2K, and he can't get into Madden, which I don't really do Madden either. But and he doesn't care about college football. That's the only thing I care about.
Well, give it time. Maybe he'll go.
And he doesn't like college basketball.
I was gonna say maybe he'll go to UT for you or something. Or maybe he'll.
I'm not gonna push him.
Maybe he'll go to an American college and
and my oldest goes to a university that's bigger than any university in the U.S. and they don't have any athletics.
Well,
it's
maybe that's the right way.
You've got 55,000 people. That's adorable. We have 70. And they're like, but we couldn't field a football team. And cricket's probably intramural or something.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Education, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought of that? Crazy talk. Right, we ready?
Oh, sure, whatever.
I was like, that's always the sign of confidence I like. Well, news out of Amazon, Matt, is that they, quote, eventually plan to go big on physical grocery stores. So this to me means that if I am running Amazon grocery, what they're going to have to overcome here in Texas is HEB. I expect them to have a war room set up, war on HEB, because here in Austin, we are the home of the headquarters of what's the fancy grocery store that I just forgot that Amazon bought, Whole Foods. And you can go downtown to the flagship Whole Foods, and that's where they've got some Amazon stuff, and people love it. But let's be honest, people here in Austin only really shop at HEB. If you don't shop at HEB,
Absolutely.
You will be shamed into shopping at HEB. If, for example, you say I went to the Randalls, people would be like, what happened? Was the HEB closed? Was are you do you not know? We only shop at HEB. You have a
I did not watch the Super Bowl. I caught some live stream. I watched some highlights and stuff. I didn't watch the commercials, but apparently HEB had some sort of tortilla commercial during the Super Bowl. That's the only thing I heard about.
That's
is
right.
the only commercial I heard about.
This is my question for Jassy and the whole grocery team at Amazon. It's like, okay, so what is your answer to HEB ready-made tortillas? Because I'm glad you brought up the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl
when you come for the king, you best not miss.
That's exactly right. And anytime we can get a Wire reference in here, we know the episode's going to be hot. So the thing about the Super Bowl was they showed the pre-made HEB tortillas, which are great. I have no problem with them.
Yeah,
but anybody that knows anything about buying tortillas at HEB is you get the ready-to-cook flour tortillas because they're in the in the refrigerated section. And you bring them home, and I'm going to take like 30, 45 seconds on a little stovetop. Absolute perfection, right? I mean, the leap from the if you will, pre-made tortilla to the ready-made tortilla. I mean, the ready-made tortilla, I believe, can pass as an absolute
there's an
homegrown tortilla.
There's an in-between because a few of those HEBs have like the tortilla stations. And they're like making them in the middle of the
absolutely
the store, and you can get them hot off the press.
100%. Like if you can get them and you're gonna eat them right away, that's your move. If not, you get the ready-made tortilla. Because the only other step, as I think Tasty Meats Paul's has already talked about on one of the podcasts, was that like there are 3 phases. First, you buy the pre-made ones. And then you're kind of inserting another one. It's like, well, you buy them hot if you're at an HEB that has
if you can, yeah.
Right. Then you get the ready to cook ones, which are fantastic. And the final stage is you just make them yourself, right? That is like literally the final stage. That's like JJ
what's
level,
HEB's
right?
job there?
Right. Well, I'm just saying that's just where you get to. You're like, I'm now at a point where I only can make my own tortillas. But like, I believe the ready to cook a flour tortilla is the absolute perfection of tortillas. So this to me is what I think Amazon is underestimating. Is like, I don't listen what HEB doesn't have? No Apple Pay. Cannot do Apple Pay at HEB. Cannot tap to check out. Can't, you have to literally take a card, physically put it into a card reader to actually process the transaction. It is beyond me why this is still the case. But there's no way people are going to give up the convenience of the ready-to-cook tortilla and start shopping at Amazon. No amount of Amazon Pay, Amazon Go, Amazon Fresh is going to displace the HEB tortilla, in my opinion. So the only thing that they could possibly do is to potentially acquire the HEB tortilla. Not going to be possible. Not for sale. I mean, that is HEB's competitive differentiation. It's like, of course, they're not going to sell that. Or they're going to come up with an alternative that we know will not be good, right? I do not think, I have no trust that Amazon can make a good tortilla.
They will pick easier territory. They will go for they'll go for California. They'll go after what's the Randalls?
Like a Safeway,
Kroger, and they'll go after those lightweights, right? Yeah, the Piggly Wiggly. Those are the sorts of the slow members of the pack. Yes, a Food Lion. Oh, they deserve to be eaten. And so like Amazon, go after the weak members of the pack, but makes the herd stronger. Right. And so HEB will continue to dominate. And Whole Foods came out of Austin, but when people go shopping in Austin, they go to HEB. You go to Whole Foods for like the weird things you can't get, or the salad buffet.
Have you been on your recent visit? Did you go to the flagship Whole Foods downtown at any point in your visit?
I went in June. I went in June. Yeah.
What was your take? Because my take is like, it has become like a weird Frankenstein kind of thing because they have some Amazon stuff going. They have the traditional Whole Foods, and they have a lot they have weirdly placed technological solutions. You're like, wait a minute. Like,
absolutely. Here's an end cap full
here?
of Alexa devices. And you're like, why? That was odd. I mean, I still have a soft spot for, the IT at Whole Foods. I interviewed there and was offered a job, but the pay was not competitive. They were all about.
But remember, you should say this was pre-Amazon. This was back when they were just.
Way back in the day.
Just the grocer at the time, right?
Yeah, they were just an up and coming grocer who already had the big flagship store there at 6th, and I mean it was cool. It was I would have enjoyed working there, but the pay was grocery store pay.
Well, most importantly, I think we'll leave it on this. It's like Amazon, you may take all the cloud apps. I may take all the apps to the cloud.
Go after
You-
Walmart. Go
may
drive
deliver-
Walmart out of the mom and pop. Go after Walmart, who's already killed all the mom and pop groceries in all the
Absolutely.
small
You may
towns.
deliver random stuff we probably didn't need, like Matt's headphones. You may deliver it next day. You may deliver it before we even need it. But I'll tell you this: you come to Texas, you better be prepared to bring some tortillas. All right. So this week, this episode is sponsored by our good friends at the New Stack. It's very easy request for everyone today. I would like everyone to go subscribe to another podcast. It's the newstack.io, and everyone can listen to more great stories about tech. So if you listen to this one, I'm sure you'll like that one. All right. What's up next here?
I have no idea what a Wegmans is.
Oh, that's like the Philly,
right?
That's like East Coast. That's kind of their HEB, but but it's people really like Wegmans, as I recall. Let's see, what does the chat say? The people say there's probably some people
HEB in New York.
Wegmans is like, it's like Wegmans has like a pretty powerful. That would be an interesting like fight, like an HEB crowd versus a Wegmans. Although I mean, I think Wegmans has a lot of Philly
between them. They got to eat up Piggly Wiggly in the meantime.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to take on a Wegmans crowd, especially in Philly. This guys, especially after losing the Super Bowl, they're gonna be pretty mad. Like, you better like bring it. You better really bring it.
So North Carolina, that's the battleground. It's like halfway.
Well, and North Carolina, it's been a while since I've been there. At one point, I think North Carolina would be the easy territory. It was mostly Food Line, which is like there's no effort to take out of Food Line. No, people are just like even the people at Food Line hate Food Line.
And California, like I went to a Kroger's and Ralph's. No, they're both
knowledge. I have no local knowledge of California. I was like, I don't know. Do they have grocery stores? Is everything just? I don't know. I've never been. I just assume. Well, San Francisco's like Whole Foods. That's all I would really know.
Yeah. But everything was kind of disappointing there.
Oh, that's interesting. North Carolina is becoming the epicenter for grocery stores. I don't know. I did not know that. Like now, Publix, Florida. So I don't know what is. I don't know. UGA. What is that? How do you say that name? Is that U Gator F? Oh, is that Florida fan? Oh my gosh. Georgia. What is I want to see Publix, Harris Teeter. Oh, Publix is in. Oh, okay. I didn't realize Publix. That's kind of an interesting face-off there. Publix versus Wegmans. That we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. This may become a full-time grocery store podcast as we branch out. I like that. I like to hear about it. So. All right, man. Enough grocery store talk. We're ready to move on.
What about what's the ones that are owned by Aldi?
I don't know. What is
Trader
that?
Joe's.
Trader Joe's. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a different thing. It's like it doesn't really count as a grocery store. Yeah, I like the Publix. Okay, light up. Wow, man, he is right. I'm gonna have to look into this grocery store in North Carolina. It is a little bit of a battleground. We'll have to see. Well, it's a swing state. We'll call it a swing state for grocery stores. All right. We got to start putting some titles.
Meanwhile, HEB's crossing the border into Mexico. They're like, sure, they're going international.
All right, you ready?
Sure. What are we talking about?
You said you want to talk about Division 2.
Oh yeah.
All right.
The coffee just not taken this morning.
All right, man. It's all right. We'll drag you about the way through it. Here we go.
World market.
Well, Matt, we have some sad news for the Division 2 team. So this is Division 2, which you and I don't know anything about. I guess it's a game. It's Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So they posted the following on Twitter, and I think we should. And this is really going to test. I think the blameless post-mortem will be tested at this company. So it says, quote, "Dear agents, last week we shared news that the season would be delayed due to a localization issue. This past Saturday, in the process of creating the update, which would resolve the issue, we encountered an error that brought down the build generation system for the Division 2. As a result, we cannot update the game until the system has been rebuilt. In the past, when a season was delayed, we extended the previous season's activities. Unfortunately, this is not possible in the current situation as we are unable to make server or client updates until the build generation system is restored." So first of all, Matt, if you are working on the build system, we're talking a little bit of pre-show. Like this is I guess we would say this is very transparent, right? Because I mean, one, they mentioned localization in the build system, which immediately I think we both know, oof, that can go a lot of ways, right? I mean, there
Yeah,
could be
yeah.
serious problems. So I
There's
get
probably
why things
external
could go wrong.
contractors involved.
But the fact that they call out the build system twice in this email, right? I mean, it is clearly the build system, and the people running the build system are being thrown under the bus. Now we can call that like radical transparency, or we can just call that placing blame. So if you're working on the build generation systems team, what do you do right now?
Whew. So there's two schools of thoughts there. The first is you're pulling the Elon Musk power drive where
Hardcore Division 2
you're
work.
going hardcore. Yeah.
Okay.
You're going hardcore. You're putting in the sleeping under the desk, working around the clock until you get this thing solved. The other school of thought is like, you're still putting in a strong effort, but you're also taking a little time to polish the resume and start thinking about, when you get thrown under the bus, how you explain that in the next interview series, because chances are good. I mean, I don't know Ubisoft. Maybe they're the rare blameless postmortem, and they're a learning culture. But my impression of the gaming industry is it's not that way.
Well, the fact too, they named names. I guess divisions here. I guess they didn't name a person's name. They could have just said, unfortunately, it's impossible for us to do anything because our systems are in a bad state, right? Something along
but
those
it's one thing to like throw names, but you also like the fans are gonna be like, what's the cause here, right? And so they can't just say like, please bear with us, because then like, I mean, like everyone will have rampant speculation. They'll start attacking like randos, and at least this way they can like focus the effort, and maybe some fans who have been around computers are like, oh yeah, that's gonna suck, as opposed to just like the raw unfiltered fury of gamers on the internet, which as far as I'm concerned is the cause of everything bad on the internet.
It would be interesting to see. I hope they do a long, almost like a security update, like a postmortem they put out. Because I'm actually interested in, having never played the game. I mean, I'm sure the game is good. I'm not even that interested in the game. I'm really interested in like, okay, what went bad? Because I hear it. I'm like, oh, they probably went to like, they had to support some Asian characters like Chinese or, and like the double bite thing, right? And they probably like added a library
in there. Yeah.
They probably added a library, and it was like, oh, wait a minute. Like now the strings, like they probably had that whole thing about like one thing is Unicode, another thing is like ASCII, right? And then you're just like, you get in this state, because I think we've seen it before. Like you kind of get in the state, you're like, can't really go backwards now, right? And I can't really go, it's like you just kind of get stuck.
Yeah. They probably rolled in a library, to add the support like 700 builds back. Right. And then like when they brought in the assets, things went haywire, and they're like, well, just, don't do that. And they're like, well, wait, now this is broken over here. And it just kind of gets into other systems. Or, when you start blaming the build system, maybe it's that little tiny pebble at the bottom of the mountain that was holding everything up is broken. Maybe it's, I think we saw,
at the bottom of this is one Node.js library.
Exactly.
It doesn't support this, and it's like turns out like the entire application is
it's the left pad guy broke Ubisoft and went on vacation, and that's, who knows, but at least see now our speculation is like, we're not going after like the game engine guys. We're not going after the artist. We're not going after support. We're like, oh, we're speculating on this little team. So maybe this is a savvy move. Maybe, and I know a few build engineers or IT, ops folks for gaming companies. Like they've got horror stories, and it's usually like they're dealing with they're it's operations folks everywhere. They're dealing with the crap that they get handed, and we'll see if this turns blameless, or because what you want is the optimal output of this is like a detailed postmortem that's like, this is why it broke.
Oh, well, that's what we want for sure.
Yeah, this is what we want, and this is how you deflect further further acrimony, is you give a fairly transparent thing where you're like, hey, this is what broke. This is what we tried. This is why it didn't work. Because that's obviously what the stage we're in. This is why it didn't work. And then these are what we did. we put in the hardcore hours. We did this, superhuman effort. Here's what we're doing so it doesn't happen again. And by the way, we're not firing everybody. We learned from this, and
but it does feel like from an executive communication standpoint, I kind of feel like because they've named the build system twice, that there's going to be a little bit of like when it finally does ship and things are working, it's going to be like, we're very sorry for the delay. We've brought in new person X to that's going to make sure this never happens again, and we're investing because it's a little bit like Southwest Airlines, right? When they they kind of put everything on the like, oh, well, the scheduling system and the IT was old. That was the problem. Of course, we can always say, well, that's really, that you could obviously put this on the CEO and be like, well, that, the CEO ultimately has to run the business and has to make the right investments everywhere. And I'm sure, I have no doubt there's somebody working on this game that is like, I told them a million times that we were not ready to do this. And I'm sure that person has the emails. He's like, here's an email that was sent on this date about, we cannot update this because it's going to cause this big problem. And I know those emails exist. So, so a little bit, I guess, from an executive communication standpoint, it's like, well, you're kind of putting it in a box and you're making it seem like it's like, well, it's this weird thing. It's the quote unquote build system, but it's sort of like it's a vital business function.
It's the release,
right? There's like a little deflection. It's like you can't say like, well, that was finance. It's like, well, if it was like, oh, the finance systems are completely wrong, we don't know where the money went. It's of course the CEO is going to be called into that, but there's a little bit of that. So I think that's going to be the part I watch is like, okay, who catches an arrow here, if anyone, right? And maybe it will be a good learning experience. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I would not bet on that happening.
No.
But
I mean, the only place that it really happens is over at the Fortnite folks, and that's because Mark Imbriaco runs their stuff.
Right, because he's in it though. He's actually like like probably the one that's like, oh man, this build system. I knew it was bad. Like,
I mean,
he wouldn't. I don't think he'd be deflecting anything.
I need to. I guess I need to log into Twitter and see if he said anything, or my Mastodon skills have kind of atrophied compared to what I used to do on Twitter, and now I don't read Twitter anymore. So it's kind of like I'm missing that water cooler conversation. My Mastodon one hasn't sorted out yet, but probably once I get a hold of that desktop Ivory, that's gonna all right.
Well, let's check in on it. So like you're kind of mid. It sounds like you're mid switch. You're still kind of reading Twitter. You do have a Mastodon account, but you're I
don't log into Twitter. So like I have one of the things I did with Twitter was I had lots of feeds where you put various or lists is what they called them, and so you put accounts and lists, and I had I had a news one, I had work ones, and I had a sports one, and the sports one is like various accounts that I'd follow that I don't even need to subscribe to them because I'm not talking to UT Athletics football or something like that. They don't care, and I don't care, so I just wanted the news. And then I had like my main Twitter where I like follow the people I actually cared about. And most of the people I cared about have gone to Mastodon or other stuff, but like the Mastodon UX isn't there to have the same multi-column, view that I had in Tweetbot. So holding it out for Ivory.
So Ivory has gone beta with their Mac OS client. So I think that's
going to be... There were 10,000 seats in it.
And you missed it. You're out.
I missed it. Yeah.
All right. So I think, we're probably a couple of weeks away because I do think there's going to be another influx when that client is eventually released. I think a lot of people are waiting because I've noticed, like, I like it. I've been on Mastodon, like trying to post more.
I like it.
It's just not like the one thing I missed. There aren't any. I mean, this is probably most of the listeners don't care, but like, there's no sports. There really aren't any.
Oh yeah, there's no sports.
It's like
that's the only thing I read on Twitter now is sports.
Yeah, it's like the only place
people
to get
send me a link.
Stuff.
Yeah, people send me a link and I look and I'm like, Nazis are trending.
I don't know how it's going to happen. I feel like sports Twitter and Mastodon, like that's going to be a tough migration, but I don't know. I hope it happens. So I do think the one thing I did see that was kind of interesting from a more mainstream adoption was, I think somebody posted from the Washington Post, not like an actual reporter, but like somebody like an IT or something, like on like, I don't know, I think it was not Reddit, but something like that. They said something along the lines of like the Washington Post is considering actually, starting their own Mastodon server, right? So they
Well, that
started
makes a lot
that.
of sense, right? I mean,
Yeah, it
I've
makes
seen calls
total
for
sense
that.
to us, right? New York Times, Wall Street Journal,
Yeah,
like all the major news publications can start their own Mastodon server.
because you can
They
federate with them. It's a trusted source.
also, like,
That's the
exactly,
whole point.
immediately verify the identity. It's coming from the people. All of those problems go away. So, like, to me, absolutely 100% no brainer. I'm sure it will not happen, right? That's why I'm like,
I think it will. I
you think
think
so? Because
it'll.
I'm just like, I keep reading the long articles from these various publications about the death of Twitter and all this other stuff, which is fine. I mean, I'm fine to read that. It's like, it's kind of the same old stuff, but it's like, you could just start a Mastodon server. Everyone could just do it. Like you
Well,
being
but
the news
it's a
publications
chicken and
could
egg thing.
actually
Yeah.
change it, right? They're the ones that, like, if they all started posting links to, like, their best reporters post links to their best content, like, it's going to quickly get traction. And it's just like, it's the same thing with the sports people. It's like, if you're there, but as soon as someone touches it, they'll be like, oh, could never learn Mastodon. And then 5,000 words on, some esoteric topic. And it's like, I think
Well,
everyone could learn it. You could get there.
that
You could do it.
that and you can't put ads on Mastodon. And so they're like, what's the point of having our content somewhere where we can't track, we can't track consumption, and then we can't like decide to put advertising dollars into that feed to bring people back. Is the content a good enough lure to bring
Well, I think
people
so.
in?
I think the media sites, this answers their thing. It's like, there won't be any ads on Mastodon, but they weren't making any ads on Twitter, any money there anyway. So it's like, yeah, you're just trying to drive traffic back to your site. Like, produce content, create discussion around the content you have, and hopefully people choose to subscribe in the case of most of those publications. So
But I'm sure
I don't
they
know.
feel like it's a step back, right? They're like, but we had this, we had good metrics. We had,
Sure.
we,
Then you
we
can't
had
write
all
any
this
more
tracking.
articles complaining about how Twitter's dying. Then it's like, okay, well, you didn't want it, and it's like, okay, then it's over. So don't, like, so you can't have it both ways. It's like, either, like, you want this kind of world and, like, just start up your Mastodon server and be like, okay, great. Because there was a nice article by one of the founders of Abroad, I guess, Paul, I can't remember his last name. Anyway, he basically said, his whole thing was basically, God, here it is. God did the world a favor by destroying Twitter. And I think, his whole point was like, yeah, maybe this is just a bad way for us to communicate as people, which seems to be bearing out. I mean, hard to disagree. But it's like, if you like it, just like, yeah, it's actually available in Mastodon. It's fine. It's not great. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's great, but it's like the fact, it's kind of it's a feature, not a bug, right? It's like the fact that it is a little bit more chaotic and a little bit more complicated. It actually keeps the conversation, I think, a little bit more streamlined. So, all right. So we'll check in on Mastodon next time when Matt has officially downloaded the new Mac client. He will give us his review, and I'm sure he will want 3 obscure features in it that will never be added, like Emacs bindings or something like that.
Hey, that's built into everything.
Okay, well, maybe, you know what? Maybe they'll do it. Now, if they're doing a good job over there building the new Mastodon client, we've been told many times that you need a good platform, right? And there's been millions of articles this week, just like there's been for several months, about platform engineering. Now, I think one of them I stuck in here, your former boss, Adam Jacob, had a long talk about what if infrastructure as code never existed. So,
Yep.
Matt, I will leave it to you. Can you give us a quick summary of Adam's thoughts here?
Oh, well, I mean, at the talk is essentially the fact that, infrastructure as code, it's a great idea, right? Everything you have in your infrastructure is derived from this code that you wrote down. But the reality is there's never really it's a bit of a lie. There's never this active feedback loop where, oh, you tell the infrastructure to do something and it did it, and then something happened and the code doesn't know anything about that. That it's not a loop. It's, there's no, the code never knows about the state of infrastructure. And so, it's a long talk, but it's good, where he kind of breaks down all the problems with infrastructure as code, which is like, it's democracy, right? It's the best of the worst choices,
right?
But but essentially, you're trying to push, the state of the world through, something that's fixed in code, and versioning's great, and source control's great, and all that stuff is great, but the reality is you never know what's actually happening. And so, what they're working at, the system initiative, is more of a model driven view that the state is monitored. It's not monitoring, but the state is observed, and the way your infrastructure is running is modeled, and you interact with the model. So at any given time, the model is correct, and that's what that's what they're working on. They didn't
Right, and this
really
is the whole
reveal
what,
a
like,
lot.
it's this is the whole declarative kind of approach, right? Just declare what you want, right? And then let the system monitor and then keep it, if you will, quote unquote, so it matches what you declared.
And
Is
that's
that
what Kubernetes tries,
right?
right? That's
Right.
that's how Kubernetes works.
Mhm.
And so
So is anything new? I guess that's what I'm saying. Is that what they're saying, or did I misunderstand it? Like, is that what Adam's proposing
um,
again, or what?
it is new because uh, once you move the focus from, oh well, if we put it in the code it will work, to, well, the model of the world is the source of truth, and we interact with that. You can still we'll need, it's still closed beta, but
So we'll have to see see
it
if it
will be
works.
open source, and there's some snippets of what they're doing at the system initiative, but essentially it's a model driven view of the world, where you interact with that with yes, you can still use infrastructure as code, but need a feedback loop, and there's yeah, it's complicated, but I wish them well, and I want to try it out.
Right.
Really, that's
Yeah, we'll
I
have to wait
signed
and
up for
see,
the
right?
beta.
We're not gonna
Yeah,
pass judgment until we actually
no,
touch it
definitely
and
can't
see
pass
it, right?
judgment. But everything in the talk rang true, right? It's like,
Mm.
yep, yep.
Now, how do you reconcile this, though? Because the other theme that seems to come out a lot this week was something to the effect, and Cote has been writing about this in his newsletter, which I'm sure he wants you to go subscribe to, about developer experience, right? Like, I feel like I see this quite a bit, and I think Adrian Karkoff of Netflix fame, I think he had a nice article. It's in here on the show notes as well, talking about, like, well, this is what it means to build a platform, but it's all about like the developer experience. And I've read so many of these articles, and I'm sort of coming to the conclusion is like, well, the problem I see is like no one has really ever agreed upon like what is the quote unquote good developer experience actually mean. It just means so
What
many
a
things to so many
Absolutely.
people that like that is the problem, right? And it's like, everyone has their own take on like, I want to bring a certain programming language, or maybe it's the old leaky abstraction. Some developers kind of want more low level access. Define that
Hmm.
however you want, right?
Well,
And
they
other
need it for
people,
performance, or
yeah, whatever. And other people are like, no, I totally want to be completely abstracted. Like, I don't
I want to
even want
give
to
you a build
know.
pack, and I don't want anything.
Yeah, I don't even want to know a computer touches this software below it, right? I've just written, almost like the Chat GPT level. It's like I've written business logic, and it is your job, Mr. Platform, to go run it. And that to me seems like to be the problem. So it's like every time I read someone's like, well, we need to focus on developer experience. That's kind of in my mental mind when I'm reading articles. I think to myself, it's like, no, someone needs to really define what a good developer experience means in a specific context. And then from that, at least you have a chance to go pick or build a platform that would match that. But to think that there's a quote unquote universal developer experience, at least right now, seems completely foolish. So I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think, Matt?
I mean, there's definitely no, yeah, there's definitely no like universal developer. I mean, everybody comes in different shapes and sizes, and the whole point of having the recommendation of having like a product manager on the platform team makes sense, because right, your customer is, you've got two customers, right? The business and the developers, and you have to serve both of them at the same time, and they probably have different desires, right? The business is like, this is our unit of work, this is what we do, we make widgets, we sell blah blah blah, and you need to optimize the business around that. And then you look at your developers and you say, how do I help you do that better? And
Right.
if their answer is, I need lower access, I need no access, you're going to sort through that. So there's definitely not going to be one size fits all, because every business is different. And every organization is different, and every org chart is different. And so, how you solve that for that is the yin and yang of fun enterprise platform
No,
development.
definitely. And I think I want to go back to something you said there, because I think it's like, this is always talked about. It's like, well, you need a product manager for the platform. And it's like, okay, like, let me just, okay. So that product manager word is playing a big role in that sense, because when you kind of start to dig into that, okay, a good product manager of any kind, the first thing they're going to want to do is be like, okay, well, I got to figure out like, who are my customers, right?
Exactly.
So, and I think this is the part like sort of hidden in that statement. It's like, well, when I go figure out like what platform I'm building, I need to figure out which developers I'm serving, and like that. And then I'm going to start to segment that group, right? As we've been talking about, a group of people working to build Facebook features and building a platform for Facebook is going to look radically different than a generalized platform that I want to sell to, let's say corporate IT, right? I'm going to make a lot of assumptions about what the people know and the domain I'm supporting if I'm doing a quote unquote internal platform. And I've, for example, taken a language. I think, no surprise here. I think, most of the stuff at Facebook's written in Node, right? Like, I don't think that's breaking any news. So I'm sure they have a real bias towards, Node.js, JavaScript frameworks like that. Now, I think if you took that somewhere else and maybe a more traditional enterprise, they'd be like, no, I build all this stuff in Java and I have all this other logic. So this whole notion that like the product manager is going to fix it, I think what the product manager is going to do is be like, oh, I segmented it, and they're going to start to draw constraints, right? And then we run into the old Heroku problem. It's like, everybody wants Heroku, just not Heroku, right? Because they're like, that that is perfect. That's exactly what I need, but that version doesn't do what I want. Like I need a slightly different version. And then there's this assumption that like some nirvana developer experience exists. So to me, it's like, I think you have to stop writing. We need to focus on the developer experience. And I think you have to say, we need to go figure out which developers we're trying to serve. And then that organization has to then take on, and this is the part no one wants to do, right? Is you have to then say, okay, I'm going to build or cobble together a platform to service this specific development community, but it will be constrained by definition. And if anything shows, like eventually the developers will break out of that platform. They'll eventually, like at Facebook, they'll be like, we don't want to use Node anymore. We don't want to use this crazy infrastructure. It's too old. And then they're going to go to the next thing, right? And the cycle continues. So I don't know. That's, I guess, my rant on, stop talking about the developer experience as a general thing. If you're going to talk about it, I'm going to require you to define it. I don't know, Matt. What do you think? What do you think? You've got takes on this.
No, I mean, to me, I think about like large enterprise banks that I've worked with. And, the whole point of the platform team was to insulate the platform from those developers. Don't let them screw things up, because generally they weren't, sad to say, they weren't the highest skilled developers out there. A lot of them were contractors who, they were buying in bulk, and they needed them to, crank out the Java. And what the platforms team job was to make sure that they couldn't introduce instability. And it wasn't to like help them move faster, because Lord knows the banks were slow, but it was really to keep them secure, not breaking things, testing properly. And that's just where they that's just how they rolled.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of comes back to some of the more successful platforms that I think we kind of like look down upon, but like Visual Basic comes to mind, like Power Builder, like long ago Fox Pro, where it's just like, those are, if you think about them, like very narrowly defined development environments that allowed people to create a lot of custom business logic. And then people, kind of universally hated those applications because they sort of became too constrained. And I guess that's the whole thing. I think we just have to think about over and over again. It's like, okay, what is the developer experience that we're trying to get to? What is the platform that's going to do it? But also just to get away from the idea that like it's ever going to be perfect. And I do think the platform is the thing that, you're talking about the banks. It's like, unfortunately, the enterprise or the domain has to take responsibility for it. It's never going to be, I just don't think you can ever be
it's not going to happen organically.
Yeah. I bought a platform,
like a guided hand, and you can say like, oh yeah, I bought a platform. It's like, no, you didn't buy a platform. You bought the technologies that are going to enable you to design, how you allow code to get to production.
Yeah. And maybe that's the thing, like maybe this also all the way back to like interviewing and things like that. And I guess, it sort of is usually revealed in an interview, like what you'll be working on, at least the platform. But I think maybe companies being more specific around like, here's what we're doing. Here's the platform we're going to be working on. Here's the technology. It's like almost kind of just showing people like, is this what you're interested in? Because like, you can kind of be more honest and say like, yeah, there's a million other platforms. Some are better, some are worse. But like here, you're going to be working on, and it'd be some famous examples. It's like, hey, if you're going to work division. At the government, yeah, maybe Ubisoft, but also too, like, I always talk about the IRS. It's like, hey, if you're going to work at the IRS, you're going to work in COBOL and these, you know what I mean? This is the environment and this is how it is. And if you don't want it, like, we get it. And there is the point where the platform has to update just to keep people there. But maybe that's the way to think is to not for any developer to walk in and be like, I want a better experience, is to show developers, here's the experience we have. Would you like to come work on this? Can we make some incremental changes? But we're not probably going to change out everything. We're not going from COBOL to Kubernetes anytime soon, right? Like, you need to be satisfied with what we have here.
You can run COBOL on Kubernetes. I've done it.
All right. Well, I like it. Well, speaking of that, my question then, have you done any remote APIs? And when you were doing it, did you use GraphQL? Because it sounds like that's the latest hotness that IBM bought. They bought what's it called here? StepZen, which was started by the same people, I think, that started Apogee. Right.
Oh, yeah.
That so this is, I feel like we should keep a list of this. Companies, founders that go on to start essentially the same company multiple times. I feel like we would have a list of like 1 million people that have done this. So that seems to be the best way to make money, is to just start a company, sell it, and then start the exact same company with just a slight twist. So congratulations to the Apogee people that are doing it. But
especially because they didn't invent the technology. That's the best part about it.
Well, that's the true baller move, is just like you take somebody else's technology and you're like, oh yeah, well, like, I'm going to do this same thing I did now, but I'm going to take it with some new technologies. I don't know. When I was back at IBM for a little bit, like, we played around with GraphQL, some people were working on it and it seemed fine, seemed good. I don't know. I feel like, it's one of these things, like, I guess I just haven't been paying attention, but like, is there like a big need for companies to like manage this? I thought it was just more like an open source kind of thing you just used. Have you been using this at all?
That's my reaction to most of the time when I see like, software tool acquisitions. I'm like, people paid that much? So
yeah, as reference point, we don't have the number for this one, but we know Google paid $625 million for Apogee in 2016. So I mean, I assume they sold it for more, but who knows?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I sometimes I just don't understand the stuff, but I could totally see walking into like one of those enterprise banks and they've got, they had Apogee licenses, somebody is paying for that stuff. And, congratulations to the StepZen folks for, I'm assuming that this was, not a fire sale, but they were.
No, it seems like it was. I'm reading it. So they only took $8 million in funding, it said. So I guess they had a lot of potential to. They didn't necessarily have to make $625 million to still do well. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I guess it would be interesting on the IBM side too. It's like, it's fine. I mean, to your point, like, I'm sure there are plenty of large companies that want some type of Apogee kind of management for GraphQL, but my question is just like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would like really move the needle much at IBM, but I don't know. It's like,
no, this is gonna vault him ahead to number 2.
Yeah, I guess from the stuff we're looking at, it doesn't seem to. So I don't know. I guess we'll just say congratulations to StepZen. And I don't.
Yeah,
is there another
really well in the enterprise story, and hopefully, they give it to the Red Hat people who open source it completely, and it continues to push the industry forward, as opposed to molder in some corner of the enterprise.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, the other one I wanted to mention briefly was Sumo Logic. Now, they're being acquired by Francisco Partners for $1.7 billion. Now, this one seems to read more like they weren't growing as fast. Their stock had kind of come down a little bit, and so this seems more like our classic private equity kind of play.
Absolutely.
And now I guess it's being acquired for $1.7 billion, which of course is like, I mean, when you see the number, like, successful, very successful. But Sumo Logic, it feels like, I don't know. I feel like at one point it was just a lot hotter. Like, I guess logs, like, I don't know, log files. I mean, I know it is just, I'm sure Sumo Logic does more than this now, but I just feels like there was a point where I just felt like it was going to be huge. It had like a Datadog kind of feel to it. It was going to get that big. And then I don't know, it didn't happen, but I can't tell you why.
They came for Splunk and they got splunked.
Yeah, I guess that's maybe true. Like, Splunk, hasn't really done much either, right? Lately. So maybe that's what just happened there. That entire market sort of kind of like, I don't know, maybe didn't grow as fast as people had hoped it would. So I don't know. So Sumo Logic, I guess it's like, I don't know. What do we say here? Do we say congratulations? We
You would
say
say
it's a nice,
congratulations.
we
I
say
mean,
like it's a nice
they put
payout.
in
They
the
had a good
time, they put
run.
in the effort. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, probably it's a successful, you know, business that will continue to derive value for their new corporate overlords, as opposed to the stock market where they're, you know, squeezing the quarterly numbers to make, you know, the stock market happy. It's just, you know, different seats on the same buffet.
All right. Well, congratulations, Sumo Logic. Enjoy the world of private equity. All right. The other thing that's been in the news, I thought we touched on briefly, is like, well, Google is basically going under the microscope. And I kind of think, you know, I think if nothing else, we are students of business history just because we worked in this for so long. And it's been really interesting to look at how Google's kind of, you know, always had the reputation being this great technological company, super successful. Everyone wants to work there. But this week, the whole, if you will, ChatGPT followed by, did you follow the demo? I guess their attempted demo to roll out their version Bard.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So the quick summary is they did it. They rolled it out in France. I guess the demo, like the phone, like the thing just didn't work. The phone didn't work. So they released some screenshots, but then they found some errors in their version of Chat GPT. And people, I guess, are drawing if you will, a line between that and I guess a huge loss of their in their stock market over $100 billion, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just interesting to watch. It's like, because we've seen this play out so many times. Like, you know, as long as you have this sort of like unchecked, you know, cash cow, like you can write all the business books you want. They can be like super successful. You can go to all the talks. All your executives can talk about all the ways they do things and how successful those ways are. But as soon as someone starts to attack the cash cow, it's like suddenly like the whole world looks at the company slightly differently. And I just think that's kind of really interesting at Google. And like I've seen a bunch of stuff. Obviously, they did the layoffs, so people are sad about that. And then there's been a couple former employees kind of just writing the thing that we used to write about Sun, used to run about IBM. Pick any legacy company, they'll say it's like it's gotten too big, it's too bureaucratic, it's no longer focused on the customers. They need a cultural change. Like I just feel like we've seen this
they
so many times.
Don't be evil.
Yeah, don't be evil. They don't have the mission, and it's
you
like
know, you know, like all the AI projects that they were like, let's not do that. That could be used for evil. They're like, you know, pull them out of storage, and they're like, maybe if we just, you know, scratch out, you know, evil and say it could be used for malfeasance, or, you know, maybe it'll be okay. And they, you know, they reply, you know, they replace it with some wishful thinking, and they'll shove it into production, and then we'll have, you know, who knows what's coming out of those AI things. But you know, funny story. My daughter's English class, 11th grade, they had a whole lecture on hands-on with ChatGPT, where they actually took like the English class and they had them, you know, enter some prompts and pushed, you know, things into it. And at the end of it, you know, they were kind of familiar with it, and the teacher finished with, from now on, all creative writing assignments will be done in class.
nice.
I mean, and so it's just like, you know, you now have, it was just like that. Checkmate. You know, this is why, you know, it was just like, oh, isn't this interesting? Isn't this technology fascinating? And that's why from now on, you know, we will do things in person.
Yeah, because so we're gonna learn how to do it, right?
I'm showing you why you're gonna complain, and this is why we have to do it.
This is why we're gonna do it. So yeah, that's kind of a cool way. But I guess it's like, I guess I'm just fun. I feel like we're just like, it's almost like a new episode of like, can the company? Because I think most of, like, I say Google, Amazon, Facebook, they're all like, I guess people are just asking the question, like, are they legacy companies, right? Are they kind of moving, you know, kind of back to the Amazon? It's always day one, right? And it's like, so it's interesting. It feels a little bit like getting older. Like no one wants to get older necessarily. Like but like as you get older, you just kind of like, you're like, yeah, that it's starting to happen. It's starting, you know, you have a certain perspective. And it's just fascinating for watch it in real time. It's like, is this the moment Google sort of does transition from kind of just like rocket ship star to like, oh, you're just becoming a more enterprise legacy company,
Oh,
or do
nobody
they
wants to be called enterprise or
yeah, and that, I think the whole thing too,
legacy
like,
is the dirty word, but
yeah, the part I always think is interesting, and I think this is really telling about the culture. It's like, from the reporting is they quote unquote declared a code red, right? And I guess the meaning there, I mean, I guess everyone can read into it what they want, but a code red is sort of like, I read as like, wow, something unexpected has happened. We now all need to refocus on it because there's just no way we could have saw it coming. But like, you look at what has been announced, it is like the thing that they've been working on more than anyone for like a decade. So it's weird. It's a code red. They're like surprised the technology that they are the T in GP and ChatGPT, like the stuff that they invented and they probably know about is like surprising them, right? And I think that's kind of an interesting like thing to figure out. And it just shows you, I guess, a little bit about cultures in corporate America. It's like, even when you know about it and you can see it coming, even when you've quote unquote invented it, it can still take you by surprise, which I think is like a fascinating like management question. It's like, why are you surprised by this? It would be different if it was something that like a world they had never seen. It's something they had never touched upon, but it's their core business. And so I'm just as a watcher of Google, right? It's just like, I'm fascinated to see what happens. I mean, it could come out that they're going to make their search even better, but like, it is probably the first time in 25 years that they feel any pressure on their core business model. So it's going to be fun to watch, Matt. I think it's going to be exciting. All right. Final thing I thought we'd touch on, because it came from the Software Defined Talk Slack, and I love it. It's a little work life thing. So someone, I will not call them out. If you want to know who they are, you have to join the Slack. But they said it was related to meetings. And I thought I think they meant it kind of in jest, but I think there's a lot of truth in it. And then it was about work from home. And it says, work from home totally changed my view of meetings, because now I can quote attend meetings I know are pointless, but continue to actually be productive in meetings. These days, it only matters because I know when I can turn off the camera, tune out, and either do work or chores. And I was like, this to me like had like some deeper meaning for me, because I was like, because it's true. And I was thinking about like, how do we like take this statement and we make it like, we just like clean it up a little bit. And I would say what he's kind of hitting on is like, there's meetings where there's a person that's the focus. Like an example I would give here is like the president of the United States. Every meeting the president is in is designed for the president to get information, make a decision, and ask questions. Yeah. Many of the people in that meeting are just ancillary, and they only are going to speak if there's something specific they can offer the president in that decision-making process, right? But other than that, they're just listening. There's nothing for them to do. They're just active listening. And I think there's like a focus in all companies like this. It's like, so we can first think to ourselves, well, none of these meetings should exist. If there's only one person in the meeting and they're the focus and there's 30 people on the call, that meeting shouldn't exist. I think we have to just say to ourselves, that's not the way the world works. There just are many meetings in corporate America that are like this. I think a good one would be like a trade show meeting. Like you're finalizing the trade show. Everybody has to get on there. You're going through the checklist. Like, Matt, is your demo ready? And you have to say, yes, it is, or say why it isn't. And they're giving information, and we just all have to be there. That's one of many examples. There's a launch meeting. There's millions of these meetings, and I wish they didn't exist, but they're going to exist. But I think what this person is hitting on is like, this is an incredible productivity benefit for everyone, because you can just listen in for the one or two things you have to either know or say, and you can continue to do other things. So I feel like this is kind of back to like, we always have this like, is remote work really good or is it really bad? But this is a place where it clearly wins. The 30 plus person status meeting where you're not the focus, where somebody else is the focus. Yeah. Right. And like, you don't really have anything that you have to do, but you do have to be on there, and it's not, and you cannot attend. Right. That's not a, just being absent is not there. So I want to like almost like put this in, this is a win for remote work. Remote work so clearly dominates this kind of meeting that, and I think this is where I think a lot of times executives, because they are often the focus of their meetings, they don't realize like, everyone else in the meeting for an hour that only have to speak for 10 seconds would like to be doing something else. So kudos to the person that wrote this message in Slack. And I don't know what we can do with it, but I want it to become like, I want it to at least go on the list of like, here's things that are much better with remote work. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a positive. Yeah. Exactly. It's a positive.
I mean, this is up there with that, when you go to conferences, watching the keynotes from your hotel room. It's the same logic, right? It's like, I'm here for the content, but you don't need my active I don't have to be here, right?
It
I'm not
totally
going to get
is. I
called
think
on.
you're right. It's just like one version from that. Like you're kind of like getting the broadcast meeting. There's the broadcast meeting where you like absolutely you won't even be asked to talk because there's like 10,000 people on and you just try to get information in real time. So that one I think for sure that's the hotel room. But this one I think is like sort of touches on the whole like should you be in the office or should you not? Like if you're the focus of the meeting and you want to be able to ask anyone a question and you want them to explain anything to you, I can see why you want everyone in the room. But that's a lot of people in the room. You know what I mean? A lot of people that could be doing other stuff. And if you're just on the call, like if that's the part that really rang true to me was like, and you can turn off the camera. It's like, that's what you want. Like, I just want to turn off the camera. I want to do my work, answer my emails, take care of other stuff. And then the one time someone says, hey, Matt, can you give me an update? You just chime in, 2 seconds, you're done, and you got like a whole hour of your life back to do other stuff. And even the funny part too, even if you are just doing chores, it's like fine, walk around your house, do the laundry. I don't know, just be on your call, just wait. So I love it. I want it. So that's a win for remote work. I'm sure there'll be many reasons people will not like it, but I loved it. So good job from that person in the Software Defined Talk Slack. And if you want to join the Slack, you should go to softwaredefinedtalk.com. There you can sign up for the Slack. You can join. You can make great comments like that, or you can participate in a lot of nonsense conversations, which Matt and I are in as well. So check all of that stuff out. All right. Final thing here, I just wanted one other piece of listener feedback was from Chris A, friend of the show. We had a big outage here. So I asked around like, hey, what are people doing now that we had this like large energy outage? Any lessons learned, if you will? This is not a blameless postmortem. We're all blaming the city of Austin, but he has put together a awesome spreadsheet comparing solar systems. So if you want to get solar power, I was like, wow, this spreadsheet is fantastic. So I was really excited to see that. So Matt, you probably don't care because you have a good energy grid in Australia and you're not worried about it.
No,
but over here, we're like
I
one
rent.
step away
Yeah.
from going off grid.
Oh yeah, I feel bad for the renters of my house in Austin, but it's out of my hands.
That's right. And then on the conference side, wanted to let everyone know that both Matt and Cote will be at the Southern California Linux Expo. That's March 9th and 12th. You have something extraordinary planned, right, Matt? Like, is Rihanna going to be performing there? Like, what is your what kind of things you have?
I think she'll probably be getting a little bed rest before the pregnancy because of the pregnancy. So she probably won't be attending the open cost booth, but I will be working a booth for our CNCF Sandbox project, and I've got to talk. So definitely looking forward to, and we're hoping to do something in person. Cote and I'll be there. So.
All right, fantastic. There's also Pi Texas, which I think is like the Python user group community. So that's going to be April 1st and 2nd. So you should sign up that if you're into Python. Seems like a good time to learn Python with all this AI going around. Seems like a nice time to do it. Also, you've got DevOps Days Birmingham. Of course, that's Alabama. That's April 20th and 21st. And then you've got DevOps Days Austin, which is going to be May 4th and 5th. And then we've also got, what do we have coming up? KubeCon EU in Amsterdam. I think that's on April 20th as well. I think Matt, you're going to be there, 21st, right?
Yeah. Yep. I'll be there. I expect Cote to be there since it's in his hometown of Amsterdam.
50-50. It's probably 5 miles from his house. So we'll say 50-50. We'll let him report in next week if he's going to be in that. Yeah. So anything, what do you got going there? You got like a booth? What are you going to do?
I'm going to have, I'll be working the open cost kiosk, and I believe KubeCost will have a booth, and hopefully Cote and I'll be there as media attendees as well. So we'll see how that works out.
All right. Looking forward to it. All right, Matt. Well, having said all of that, what's your recommendation this week?
Well, if you caught the pre-show or if you've been hanging out in our Slack, my Audio-Technica headphones finally gave up the ghost. They were almost 10 years old. I was hoping hoping they'd make it, but they just collapsed under the weight of age. I had replaced the head strap, the earplugs, the cable, but just too much structural failure. And so rather than buy the same thing again, which would have been just fine probably, I went ahead and asked the Slack, what should I get? And the recommendation that I went with was the Sennheiser Pro Audio HD 25s. And I got the special edition because I like the velour instead of the pleather. And then I've already got an aftermarket upgrade of bigger ear pads. So the audio quality is great. Still sorting out the fit, but they are very customizable and big aftermarket, which I'm keen on. So that's my recommendation for the week.
All right, and I like that it has cooling gel ear pads.
Absolutely.
Those are
Yeah.
upgrades. So
That's
you
the
can't, for
upgrade.
those who can't see it, Matt's, I can tell he's in like a very cool, relaxed place with the earphones on his ear. So it's good. So well, good. All right, Matt. Well, I'll check those out next time my earphones finally give out. My recommendation, I don't know. I think probably everyone's watching this if you want, but it's The Last of Us on HBO. Are you watching this, Matt? Are you into this?
I'm waiting to see if they cancel it after the season.
Okay. Well, there's 5 episodes. I never played the game, didn't know anything about it, but like I really like the show. I think this is going to turn out to be one of the better I guess we call it video game crossovers, right? I think they've done a really good job with the story. And from what I've read, people that play the game says it's pretty true to the game. And there's also like lots, I guess, of Easter eggs and references to the game in the actual, in this case, television series. So 5 episodes in, I think it's been really good. I was a little skeptical anytime I see a video game that's been adapted to anything. I'm always like, this is going to be some kind of weird Lara Croft, kind of just bad movie. But this one, it's been really good. So I would definitely check out The Last of Us. I think 5 episodes in, it feels pretty safe. Feels like you're in a good place to watch it. So check that out.
I'll wait and see how it ends before I've been bitten too many times.
It's true. It's true. There's always Lost. We all remember that. Anyway, I won't go on a long rant about that today. So, all right. With that, if you would like to see all the topics we talked about and some we didn't, you should go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/401. There you'll see the show notes for everything and all the links. You can also sign up and subscribe to our newsletter. You can follow us on social media, and you can join the Slack. So we look forward to communicating with you one of those ways. And with that, we will talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right. Good episode, Matt. Like how your son, you always get I think it's your son, always makes a quick cameo. I don't know. He always like goes right. Like
he's
what's
like
behind
always
you?
nervous about like
what's
being on
what's
camera.
behind?
I'm just like it's blurred.
What is the is there like a doorway to something? Like where does it go?
Yeah,
Is he going outside?
There's a sunroom out the side.
So he's going outside. Okay,
so that's why the lights always come from that side. There's a sunroom and there's another computer in there, and that's the kid's office.
I always like it though. Yeah, he's always sneaking by. It's like, well, maybe have to have him on the show one day.
Well, that's the thing. He like doesn't sneak by. He's like he gets all flustered that he might be on camera, and then he like stomps behind me and slams doors. I'm like, dude, nobody would have noticed if you were just
maybe that's the key. It's like just be quiet, don't worry about the camera. If you're quiet, no one will notice, but if you
it's blurred anyway,
we'll do it. So it's good. All right, well, good. Listen, we had a lot of people, some new people in the stream here this week, so I appreciate everyone coming on. I feel like I definitely have some work to do on my grocery stores. I'm gonna check that out.
No, you're not.
James has never been to HEB, but like, listen, you need to go to HEB. I don't know what else to say. You need to make it. What does it say here? In my mind, yeah. So Walmart, Kroger, Wegmans. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it sounds like, James, if you've never been to HEB, I would like you to go next time you're in Texas, and you can compare it to Wegmans. You'll be the official Wegmans, and maybe that's what we need.
Ambassador.
Like we need someone that's been to Publix, Wegmans, and HEB, and then someone can officially. So I've been to Publix and HEB, but not really Wegmans. Someone can do an official ranking. Maybe that's the homework we're going to come up with. In the Slack, we will list the grocery stores and let everyone vote for their favorite. That's going to be.
There's probably somebody who's transplanted to Austin who can weigh in.
Yeah, that's it. And then we're going to spin off an entire grocery store podcast episode, right? Where we go, we'll call it "We Go Shopping." Software defined talk go shopping. That's going to be the path to greatness people have been waiting for. So, all right. Well, listen. Thanks for everyone on the stream. We'll see you in the Slack, and if all goes well, we'll be back streaming this time next week.